Hello and welcome to the Bowtie, Florida room. We are in seed starting mode. Right now it is a rainy day out there. Not a lot we can do out there anyway, and so I thought I would start doing some more planting of seeds. Wanted to do a few different things. We planted some onions the other day, and it was a very long video because there's a lot involved in onions, and I wanted to make sure to get a good representation of the information out to you. But I was thinking about there are a whole bunch of different ways to plant out seeds, and some of them are important for certain things, some of them aren't. And we hear a lot of stuff, oh, you can't do this, you shouldn't do this, and all this other stuff. And there might be more advantageous ways to plant certain seeds, there might be less advantageous ways to plant certain seeds, but there are a lot of ways to plant seeds, and this is not something that should be made too complicated, which I know for me, I'm entering my fourth year gardening, of successful gardening, I should say, and I was making it very complicated at the beginning, and it really isn't. And I want to show you just a few different things. You can go back and look at that onion video, but we're going to do a series of 3 videos here real quick and show 3 different minor alterations that I'm going to do. Some are better than others, and I just want you to kind of get an idea of a few different things that can be done. We are going to be planting out some basil, some Green Globe Artichokes, and some peppers. And so some of my favorite things to do, but I have different purposes behind planting each one. And we're going to have the same intro on all 3 videos. So don't be confused if you see the same intro here. It's going to be a different video, and I'll try to put title across the bottom here as to which video we're looking at, but it will show you some of the variations that are okay. You can experiment with it, and that's the big thing. Experiment, try things. Some things work for me that don't work for other people, and vice versa. I see some people do things, I'm like, I cannot get that to work. For example, I can't get lavender to grow to save my life, and it is just the easiest thing to plant according to a bunch of people, and so I'm doing something wrong. But anyway, I've got some seed trays here with individual 6-cell trays in here, and we are going to get to planting. So here we go.
Hi, I'm Bowtie Dave.
So you saw the same intro as the basil, and that's the basil right there. We're going to just push these out of the way because we're going to be growing, or not growing, well, hopefully growing, but we're going to be putting seeds in the ground, in the dirt for artichokes. These are Green Globe Artichokes I got from Seed Savers Exchange. I didn't get them this year. I got them early last year, and so these are not new seeds. Now, Seed Savers Exchange is one of those places you can go online. They do a great work in maintaining heritage seeds and supplies, and just do an amazing thing. I really like what their organization does, but they are dedicated to preserving these heritage seeds that sometimes are hard to find, and it's really been their mission for a lot of years. So I just think that's kind of exciting. So anyway, I did try to grow these last year, and if you've seen any of my garden tours, which we do garden tours every month, we've done it since April. It was March or April we did the first one, and there's an artichoke bed out front, which we ended up putting those Jerusalem artichokes, which I'm calling sunchokes now, into, but I actually did have a few of these Green Globe artichokes in there, and they didn't do too well. They grew about that big, and they stayed that big all summer long. They never did anything. So I'm going to try this again. These are not new seeds, so I don't know if these are going to germinate. I'm not sure how stable these are over time. Most seeds, as I talked about before in the onion video, onion seeds don't keep very well. In fact, if you saw the little short 1.5-minute video on the update, the 5-6 day update, you saw, in fact, I might put it right here, you saw the video where those seeds on one half of that tray did not germinate at all yet. And the ones on the other half, the newer ones, the old ones didn't. The newer ones are germinating, and it's very exciting. But those old seeds, no love. So yeah, that's where we're at with those. But now the basil we planted, these are old seeds. And now the package was still sealed. I don't think I mentioned that in the first video. The package was still sealed. So I have hope that these are actually going to germinate pretty well. We'll just have to see. These, the package was not sealed. It's a paper envelope, and I don't know about the viability of these. Now, in the basil, I planted in these little 6-cell trays. And the reason I did that is because when those 3 to 5 seeds in each cell grow, I will eventually be able to pull them out, separate them gently, and put them into slightly bigger cups. Well, and the plants are not but so big, but these Green Globe Artichokes, they grow 3 to 5 feet tall. This is a much bigger plant. And to be honest, I'm not sure I want to deal with them in these small seedling trays. I can eliminate a little bit of work by going ahead and starting them in the next size up, and that's what I'm planning on doing. We're going to use up all this soil, which is just fine because we have more back here, and we'll make a little bit more in this if we need to. But I'm going to go ahead and start in this. Now the cool thing about these particular cups, and I find I have tons and tons of these little cups. There's Bonnie cups, and this is Pure Beauty Farms. I don't know where that came from. Greensboro, Georgia. But the nice thing about these cups is they will still fit inside the humidity dome of my little seed starting tray. That one doesn't fit perfectly. Let's see if this Bonnie, oh, there's another one. See if this Bonnie is, okay, so the Bonnie is a little bit shorter. So I need to stick to the Bonnie cups in here. I'd forgotten that. I'm not sure where these came from, to be honest. So I've got 1, 2, 3, 4. I have to go grab some more Bonnie cups. But we'll go ahead and get started with these 4. And basically, very simply, we're going to fill these with soil. And you want to make sure there's no large air pockets. So I just give them, just real gently push them in, not hard. You don't want to be packing that soil real hard. You're just basically making sure there's no big pockets of air inside there. Because what will happen is you'll water the thing, and if there's this big pocket of air, it'll just shift everything. Your seed's going to get deeper, and it may not be in the right depth to germinate, and so problems ensue. Now, most of the time, your seed packet will tell you how deep to pack the seed. Instructions: plant 1/4 inch deep. Sure enough, there it is. Sow seeds indoors 1/4 inch deep. Plant outdoors after danger of hard frost is past. We live in the panhandle of Florida. I don't think Florida knows what a hard frost is. We do get frost, but certainly not a hard frost, which means I could grow these out, but here we are in the middle of January. I want to get these in some dirt so they can start growing. Hopefully can get 2 months of growth on them before it's time to put them back out in that same artichoke bed with some of that basil. You have to go back and look at the basil video to find out why I'm definitely putting a couple of basil plants out there. But anyway, these artichokes are ready for eating around 75 days after transplanting. But an occasional inflorescence left to flower in the garden is welcome sight as well. So these artichokes actually are a flower, and they're beautiful. So hopefully this next year, if we can grow some of these, then we'll get to see what that looks like. But anyway, so 1/4 inch. So what I'm going to do here is I'm actually going to fill these things to about 1 inch from the top. You saw the Genovese basil. You might say, wait a minute, I thought I said 1/4 inch. Well, I'm not going to fill these things all the way because those plants are going to be living in this pot for a while. So I'll end up putting the seed in here. In fact, let me go ahead and put one. And I'll tell you what, I'm going to put 2 in each one of these because I want to get rid of these basil seeds. I'm going to put 2 in each one of these, and you see they're kind of far apart over here. I don't know how these do with root separation, but frankly, if one germinates and the other doesn't, I won't have to worry about that. I may just thin these. If I get a bunch of these coming up, I'll just snip one off. I hate to disturb roots if it's going to be problematic for the plant. But anyway, so I'm going to put in there, make it about 1/4 inch deep now. The reason why it's about 1/2 inch or more down from the top here is because as we start, we're going to be bottom watering. That means we're pouring water into the tray, setting this in water. It'll soak up the exact right amount of water because the soil knows how much water it needs to have in it to make a plant grow. And so it's just the way God made it. And so we'll be bottom watering this. After this thing starts growing though, and remember it's going to be living in this pot for a while, I want to be able to pour in the top, and you want to be able to catch water in here. You want to be able to put, 1/4 inch of water inside there so it soaks in and gets the plant nice and watered. So that's why I leave a little bit of depth on these. I didn't leave it on these because the life that they're going to be in here, they're going to be bottom watered the whole time they're in there. When they're tall enough to put into a pot like this, I'm probably going to end up putting them in the ground anyway. This is the basil here. So anyway, we're going to do the same thing over and over until we get rid of these seeds. And you see I'm shaking it down, making sure it's filled up. Give it just a little bit of a pat down. Again, down about 1 inch. I'm going to grab 2 seeds. And I'll be honest, I'm selecting these seeds. I'm putting a big seed and a small seed. They're not all the exact same size. So I'm putting a big seed and a small seed. I don't know if that's going to be important or not. It's just what my OCD brain is doing. So there's 2. Now what's going to happen with these is they're going to stay inside this seed starting tray with the cover on it until things start to germinate. At that point, when they're germinating, I'll be pulling them out into another tray that I can bottom water from, and they will be allowed to grow some more. And based on, oops, that was a lot too much. Based on my experience last year, I really need to let these things grow. Now, one reason that they did not grow a lot last year is they didn't have enough nitrogen. That's something that I know about my compost now. After a year of growing with it, it's actually free compost. It comes from the local equestrian center at a gated community and over at Kelly Plantation. They'll give it away for free, but it's not great compost. It's workable. And so you got to supplement it with some nitrogen to make sure that it can grow things. And if you'll watch any of my other videos where I'm talking about feeding the plants, it explains why nitrogen is important. It's for the leaf growth, and that's what I want to do with these things in the beginning. I want root growth, which is the phosphorus. I want leaf growth, which is the nitrogen. And this is my rule of broken thumb. It's not perfect, but it's kind of a general rule of thumb. And then the third thing of the 3 numbers on every package of fertilizer is the potassium, and that has to do with fruit production. Broken thumb, okay? Those of you who are more experienced than me, I know you can come up with arguments against what I'm doing here. So I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 more seeds. I am going to go get 3 more cups and some labels. Okay, so I got me a few more cups, and we're gonna, so you might notice I got some labels put in there, but we're gonna go ahead and fill up the rest of these cups with the soil, the rest of the soil that we have. I don't think I have enough for all 3 of these. In fact, I have enough for 1. Because I wanted to show you a little bit in this about the soil that I use, what I mix. I know I've showed it before, but again, it's all about getting as much information as possible. Now, these videos are actually my own journal of what I'm doing. So I can look back, and you'll notice there's real good indexing in all the descriptions. So I can go back and look at my notes And that becomes very important because sometimes I need to go back and figure out what I did somewhere. For example, when I made the labels for these, I wrote on here GG Artichoke, SSE for Seed Saver Exchange, and in parentheses I wrote 22. That means these were actually packed for 2022. And then the date I planted them, 1/22/2023. And so 6 months down the road, I want to figure out what I did, when I did something, or if I did something, or next year maybe when I'm doing this. I want to figure something out. So I can look back and see why something failed. Well, did it fail because it was old seed? Very possibly. This may fail. I don't know. But anyway, so I put... did I put seeds in here? 1, 2, 3. Yes, I did. And so I am writing on here the same thing on each one of these. GG Artichoke. SSE for Seed Savers Exchange, where I got the seeds from. Parentheses 22. 1/22/2023. Now, why is it important to label your plants? And it really is, especially if you're growing a lot of different things. Now, I'm only growing 1 artichoke this year, so it's not so important, but especially like take tomatoes, for instance. You grow 2 or 3 different kinds of tomatoes, and one of them just takes off and is beautiful and is flavorful and does great for you. You really want to remember what that is so you can replicate it next year. And so make sure you got it labeled so you can say, oh yeah, that was a good tomato for me. The Cherokee Purple did great for me. Cherokee Purple didn't do great for me this past year because we had a different growing situation. Our garden is brand new because we've gotten rid of a big tree. We don't know what it's going to be like this year. So, it's for your own education. And I know people that don't ever label, they don't do anything, they grow the same things. And that's fine. If you've got a routine that you like and it works for you, that's great. Just know that there are other things out there, other types of seeds, other types of tomatoes, other types of peppers, and I love exploring. I love just the whole event of trying new things and finding if there's something I like just a little better, and if there is, great. I don't do that a lot, but comes to plant tomatoes or peppers, especially peppers. I love hot peppers. I want to know, and I want to be able to find and explore sometimes. So, got enough for this cup. I'm going to put 2 in here. And again, I'm putting what I think might be a good seed and a bad seed, not a bad seed, a good seed and maybe a not as good seed in each one of these. So hopefully we'll have one of these grow. All right. You know what? I've got 2 more cups here. I've got to mix a little bit of soil anyway. All right, so what I'm going to do. Gonna get some of my Stay Green. This has got very little moisture in it, but it does have moisture. It's been sitting here open since I opened it on that onion video. So that should be enough for both of those. I'm going to mix in there just a tablespoon of the Dr. Earth. I like this stuff for seed starting. It promotes growth in leaves and roots, which when you're seed starting, that's what you want, leaves and roots. Later, I changed to a different kind of feed. Excuse me, I'm getting over some congestion. But I changed to a different kind of feed. There's probably about 2 tablespoons in there for different reasons, and you can watch my other videos for that. But mix that in a little bit. I'm going to put a little perlite in here, which I've got over here. This is just perlite from a big box store. It's a volcanic, very light, it almost feels like styrofoam, but it helps with drainage. And it's something I've always put into my seed starting mixes, and it seems to work well. You can see there, got that all mixed in. It does need a little bit of moisture, so I have here some well water. This is water I pumped out of my well. And I'm probably going to put maybe that may have been half a cup in there. I don't need a ton of soil. Just trying to get to these last 2 cups. All right, see, that's good. I can grab it, and of course, you got little sticks in here. That's all part of soil. There's not so much, well, I could use a little more. Maybe we'll end up with a whole cup in there. The way you know you have enough is there's not so much you can squeeze it out. When you grab it in your fist. Okay, there's a few drops of this actually, but see, it holds together just barely. That's a good amount of moisture in there. All right, so that's enough for these last 2. So let's get these planted. Again, just a little tap just to make sure there's no air. I'll put 2 in there. I've got 1 left over. Put a 1/4 inch of soil on top of there. And last one, because that's all the seeds we got. I got 1 seed left. So if you didn't catch the first part of this series, I talked about how different ways of growing different seeds. A lot of the times it doesn't matter. There's so many different ways you can do planting of seeds. Don't overthink it. Don't make it more complicated than it really is. These seeds really want to grow themselves. They really do. God made them that way. And so give them the chance. Jess Soward's over at Roots and Refuge. She has a story of when she was beginning gardening, she threw away some seeds, and she realized later that the only seeds that will not grow at all are the ones you never give a chance. And so I really took that to heart and believe it very strongly. So there is just a quick, you saw how quick I mixed up a little bit of seed starting mix. Don't be afraid. If you want to get a bag of seed starting mix from the store, they're great too, okay? Don't think that they're not the way to do anything. It's just however you want to do it. This is what I've got here now, and it does work. I've heard some seed starting mixes work better than others, and I really haven't tried a lot of them. After dealing with a few different seed starting mixes, I kind of felt what it feels like and saw what it looks like, and just made my own decision on how I'm going to do my own thing. So these are going to go in the seed starting station, and we'll be watching them to see what germinates and when. I have a feeling these artichokes are going to take a while to germinate. They're a much bigger plant. Those basil down there from the last video, go back and watch it if you hadn't. That basil is going to come up pretty fast. In fact, I'm wondering if it says here, it doesn't always tell you how fast they germinate. It does not. Sometimes they'll tell you how fast they germinate, but it's fine. We'll see. They typically come up pretty fast, so it'll be a week, at most 2 weeks. I have a hard time seeing it being 2 weeks. Basil likes to grow. So stay tuned. If you're stumbling along here, please subscribe. Trying to get out a lot of information. This is really my own personal journal. I go back and look at these. That's why I gave a description of these labels and what's in these, so that I can go back and see what I did. So please do subscribe. Don't miss the part 3, which is coming up. We are going to be planting out some very special hot peppers, which I'm very excited about. And from my friend over in England, Chili Chump, Sean, who's also known as Chili Chump. But we're going to plant some of those hot peppers out and try some special ones. But I want to do the soil a little bit differently this time because they are kind of special. And so follow along. If you've already subscribed, thank you for subscribing. Thank you for continuing to watch. It helps the channel. If you can, please click the thumbs up. That helps the video perform better. Also share on your social media if you have any friends that might gain information from what you see in this video. So these are 3 free things that you can do to help us grow the channel. So all that being said, happy growing. Hope you're having a good new year, and don't miss part 3 of this little short series, and have a blessed day.